This conference will now be recorded.
Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to Ratan IT. Guys, I'm planning to take some entry questions about the core Java, advanced Java, Spring Boot, microservices and all. For that, today I'm starting the first one regarding the flow control statements. All of you can please take the book and pen. Please note down all the questions and please maintain one notes for this all the questions. Okay, regarding the Java entry questions. Okay, good. Today I'll go for the flow control statements. Some questions I don't want to mix all the questions. I will prepare well, and once if you prepared, so you can present interview very simple, right? Yeah. Okay, the first question is what are the flow control statements in Java? So everyone, I hope you know this point. There are three types of flow control statements in Java, right? But three types, guys. One is the conditional statements. What are conditional statements? If else, else if, switch. Got the point, right? There are three types of flow control statements in Java. One is the conditional statements. If else, else if, switch. Second is the looping statements: for loop, for each loop, while loop, do while loop. Okay, the third one is the transfer statements like break and continue. And some people are saying nested if else, else if, else if. That is depends on the requirement. You can go for the if nested if, nested if else, something like that. That depends on the requirement. But in general, conditional statements are if else if, switch. These are conditional statements. Looping statements are for loop, for each loop, while loop, do while loop, right? For transfer statement means, yeah, break and continue, right? Yeah, because basically conditional statements based on the particular condition. Is based on what? Based on the particular condition. So based on the particular condition, condition, the selected block will be executed. Selected. I hope everyone knows this point. Based on the particular condition, the selected block will be executed. We have a multiple blocks. We have one block or multiple blocks. Multiple blocks. Based on the particular condition, the selected block will be executed. Right? Selected block will be executed. That's the conditional statements. Yes, what about looping statements? For example, if you want to execute the same code multiple times, like repeatedly, to execute the same code repeatedly, you're going for the looping statements. Yes, to execute what? To execute the same code repeatedly. Okay, so repeatedly, to execute the same code repeatedly, iteratively, something like that. To execute the same code multiple times, you're going for the looping statements. Get the point, right? I want print the good morning 10 times. To print the good morning 10 times, you will not make the code like SOP statements 10 times, right? Just we can make the for loop or while loop. In the for loop, you can write the SOP statement only one, and the loop is repeated like 10 times, right? To execute the same code repeatedly, you're going for looping statements. What about transfer statements? The control is jumped from one location to another location. For example, inside the for loop, I use the break. Inside the for loop, I use the break means what? It will stop the loop, come out of the loop or not? Guys, it will stop the loop and what? Come out of the loop. That is called transfer statements. Continue also the same thing, right? To skip the iteration. So break means what? Stop execution, come out of the loop. Come out of the loop means what? The control is transferred or not? Guys, you understood the point, right? The control is transferred from one location to, transferred from one location to what? One location to another, right? Yeah, another location, guys. These are the flow control statements in Java. There are three types of flow control statements: conditional statements, if else, else if, and switch. Based on the particular condition, the selected block will be executed. Second one is the looping statements: for each, and while, and do while, to execute the same code repeatedly. Transfer statements: break and continue. The control is transferred from one location to what? Another location, right? Yes, you got the point. That's the first question, guys. Clear, right? Someone is asking the question, immediately you need to respond that question here. So you don't wait much time to give the explanation, right? Once if you understood clearly, once if you write the notes clearly, every day you can read the notes at least 10 minutes, you'll get the clarity about that point, right? Exactly. Yes, next question you can see, when we will use if, else, else if. So this is a question I asked to you guys. Then what's your response immediately? Just you can try to check what the answer you are given, what the answer I am saying. In interview panel, better to which one you feel better. Your answer is better, you can tell your answer. If my answer is better, you can tell my answer. Okay. Because if is used to take only one option. If true, right? If true, only possibility is a true possibility. Even if it is a false, it won't be executed, right? Only if statement is. If is used to take only one option, true option. If else is used to take the two options, like true and false, right? Yes, if is used to take one option, which is like basically true. If else is used to take the two options, basically true and false. Else if is used to take the more than two options. Guys, more than two options, right? You need to check the data, guys. We need to check the data. You have the, I want to check the even and order. I want to check the even and order. Even and order, two values. Two options means what? If else we have to use. Like that we need to check. I want to check my given number is the positive or negative or zero. So given number positive or negative or zero, given number is what? Positive or negative or zero. Then how many options we have? Total three options, right? Positive, negative, zero. Then if else is not working, then we have to go for what? Else if, right? Guys, we have to go with what? Else if. Okay, that is our question number 2. Hope you understood, right? What the question number 2? Tell me, guys. If when we have to check only one option, I have only one option, basically true option. If it is a true, I want to give the response. Even false also, I don't want to give the response. Only true. One option means what? You can take the if, right? If else is what? If else, we have to check the two options, basically true and false. Else if is what? When we have to check what? More than two options, right? Guys, we have to check what? More than two options. Yeah, more than two options are there. We need to go for else if. Because we need to analyze immediately. When you have the requirement, we need to check. I want to check only one condition now. Okay, if I want to check the two now. Okay, if else I can use. I want to check the more than two. I have the three, four options here. I want to check. You can go for else if, right? Yes or no? You need to go with what? Else if, right? That is second question, guys. So if you can please take the second question also. I hope you understood, right? You try to, when you're watching the videos, you try to respond, you try to give the answer, you try to explain the answer. When you try to explain answer, then you will get the more what you can say. Tell me, when you're trying to explain the answer, you'll get the more clarity, right? Yes. You try to involve in the class here. You try to involve, right? That's the main point. That's the question number 3. What is the difference between the else if and switch? Yeah, most of the guys will ask the question is in interview, right? Because else if is also to take the multiple options, switch also can take the multiple options. What the difference? Anyone tell me before watching my video, before watching my explanation? You tell me what you feel. What is the difference between the else if and switch? What is the difference between what? Else if and the switch? Maybe you responded right. Fine. Because for my answer here, else if and switch both can take the multiple options. Do I agree, right? LC funds which both can take the multiple options. Point one. Both can take the multiple options. LC funds which both can take the multiple options. Take the multiple options. Point number one. Point number two. LC will work based on the condition based. LC will execute the data. You know, right? LC means what? What you're writing here? Definitely you're writing the conditions, right? Yes, you're writing what? Conditions. Switch means are you writing the condition or just you are passing argument based? Yes, which is not condition based. Yes, both can take the multiple options. Else if can work on the based on the conditions. Sir, I want to check the conditions, sir. Then you can go for else if. No, sir, just I want to check the argument. See, I written the case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4. Which case is matched, that case will be executed, right? Case 1, case 2, and what? Case 3 and case 4, like that, right? Here, do you have any condition or just argument value? Yes, we got the clarity there. LCF is basically condition based. Yes, LCF is what? Condition based. What about switch? Switch is basically argument based. Number two. Moreover, one more point, guys. LCF is you can solve the like complex conditions you can write. We can write the conditions. But switch is basically similar type of data, similar options, guys. Switch is basically for the similar options. Similar options means switch argument. If I pass the integer, the case label should be integers only. It means similar type of data, right? Sir, Maya. Switch argument is integer, case label should be integers only. Switch argument is I'm passing the string argument. The case label should be strings only. Guys, the case label should be what? Strings only, right? The case label should be strings. Are you clear now? The case label should be strings. Yeah, so we understood that LCF is like it can take the conditions, multiple condition based, and switch is what we can solve a similar type of data, right? That's the 3 points, guys. Similar type of data in the sense switch argument is the string means case labels are strings. Switch argument maybe if we are passing integer. If you are passing integer, the case labels are integers, right? Like that, guys. Guys, you got the point, 3 points, right? Yes. Guys, can please write this explanation for that question. What the explanation here? This is explanation for that. What the difference between LCF and switch? LCF and switch both can take the multiple options. If we need to execute the code based on the condition, we have to use LCF. If we need to execute the code, in execute the data, execute the code or data, execute the code, based on the argument, based on the condition means LCF. Based on the argument, we have to use a switch, right? And the third point is what? LCF statement. Uh, LCF statements are more flexible and have a complex conditions. Switch statements typically used for the similar value based checks. Similar value based checks, right? Exactly. I think 3 points are clear. The explanation is clear, right? So write all the points clearly. Yes, next one. When we will use the for loop and for each loop. Yeah, in application, if you experience people in interview panel, they'll ask these type of questions, guys. When we will use else if and switch, when we will use for and for each, when we will use for loop and while loop. They'll ask this kind of questions, right? Do you agree or not? They'll ask only this kind of questions here. Hmm? Yeah, can you please answer this question? When we will use the for and for each, you please tell me your explanation first. I'm waiting for your explanation. Yeah, you give me your explanation first. When we will use for and for each means for loop. When we have the starting value, start value, when we have the end value, when we have the increment or decrement value, then we have to use the for loop. See, for example, I have 1,000 elements with me. My array list or linked list, anyhow, it contains 1,000 elements. My array contains 1,000 elements. But how many elements I have? 1,000 elements. But I need to print the elements from 333 to 444 by incrementing the plus 5. See, this is a condition where I need to start, where I need to end, how much I want increment. Then you can go for the for loop. Get the point, right? Where we have the starting value, ending value, increment, decrement value, you can go for what more? For loop. Best example, if I have 1,000 elements, I have 1,000 elements in my array, but I want print the 333 to 444 by incrementing the something value. Then you can go for the for loop. So what about for each loop? For each loop, conditions are not applied. For each loop, we'll print the data from starting to ending, 1 to 1,000 elements. That's all. For loop, possible to apply the conditions here. Where we need to start, where we need to end, how much you want to increment. For loop, possible to apply the condition. For each means conditions apply, not apply. Guys, for each what? For each conditions are what? Conditions are not applied. For each conditions are not applied. Print the data from starting to ending. That's up for versus for each. Guys, this is my explanation is more lengthy. You please comment that point. Is explanation are okay? Our explanation is more lengthy, and what is the way you are expecting? You please comment once. I'm feeling that I'm going for a bit lengthy explanation, huh? Or you feel okay means just you can make the okay, so that I'll make the proper video for the next questions. Uh, I think this explanation is good enough, right? You please, everyone who watching the videos, please comment. Is that explanation is okay? Are you going for the more lengthy? Or you want to make very short? You please give me some explanation. Meanwhile, you can give some comment like you're writing or not, writing the notes or not, and you like the video. Just click on the like, click on the subscribe, and comment the video. Right? I think when you use a for loop and for each is clear, right? For loop means it is possible to apply the condition. For each loop, conditions are not applied. Not apply. It print the data from starting to ending. Got the point, right? Yes. I told the next question, right? When we use a for loop and while loop. Hey, this is clear, right? Take the notes for the fourth question. When we will use a for loop and while loop. Okay. When we will use for loop and while loop. Guys, for loop I told just now. When we have the starting value, ending value, increment, decrement value, you can go for the for loop. What about while loops are? While loop you don't have any starting value, ending value. While loop is only condition checker. Check the point. I have to start here, I have to end here, I want to increment something. Then you can go for the for loop. No, sir, just I want to check the data, read the data. Check the condition, only check the condition. While loop will work only based on the condition, guys. There is no starting value, there is no ending value. You should analyze these are the very, very, very important entry questions, guys. You feel that very simple, but very, very important because every coding is done based on the for loops and while loops, right? I hope you understood, right? When we have the starting value, ending value, increment, decrement value, immediately we thought that for loop. When we have only condition checker, see, some students will write the 10 numbers for loop, 10 numbers like 10 times printing for loop, 10 times printing while loop also. That is useless, guys. We need to check. We have the starting value, ending value, increment value also. They're using while loop only. Don't use while loop in that case. Starting value is there, ending value is there, increment value is there, for loop. Only condition I want to check, then you can go for the while loop. I think you got the clarity, right? Yes. And second one more point. For loop means what? You know the number of iterations already. I want to repeat like 4 times or 5 times. Then I less than equal to 5, I less than equal to 4, like that you can write. If you know the number of iteration, then take the for loop, guys. Sir, I don't know number of iterations. I want to check the guess number. I don't know whether when he entered the correct number, right? We don't know when he entered the correct number, guess number. Assume like you have some guess number, lottery number like 250 here. You're asking that users, but we don't know user is when he entered the correct number, right? The loop has to be repeated until he enter the correct. Until he enter the correct means what? Then we don't know number of iterations, right? When you don't know number of iterations, then we have to go for the while loop. It's very, 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 very important, guys. For loop means what? Tell me guys, for loop. What is for loop? For loop is recommended when we have the starting value, ending value, increment value. That's very, very important. Try to register this all the points in your mind. For loop, when we have the starting value, ending value, increment, decrement value, okay, for loop. Only condition check. Only condition. While loop you have to use. Guys, only condition means what? We have to use the while loop, right? While loop is recommended when we have the only condition check. In array list I have some data, guys. In array list I have some data means I want to check the data, print the data, check the data, print the data, check the data, print the data. Then while loop you have to use. Second point, what I told, if you know the number of iterations, then use the for loop. Okay, these are the very, very important. That's what I'm taking bit time. If you know the number of iterations, for loop. For I less than or equal to 5, I less than or equal to 10, like that, for loop. If you don't know number of iterations, then use while loop. While of true means what? Loop is keep on repeated. Inside that, to stop while of true means our loop is keep on repeating. How can we stop, sir? Inside the loop we can apply some if condition. What we can say? Apply the if condition. Use the break statement, right? The loop is stopped. Yeah, the question is how can we stop the infinite loop using break? The question is what? Yeah? How can we stop the infinite loop means while of true means. Hmm. To stop the infinite loop, to stop the infinite loop, you'll use what? Stop the infinite loop, you'll use what? You'll use the break, right? Exactly. While of true means loop is keep on repeated. But you understood, right? If you know the number of iterations, then use for loop. If you don't know the number of iteration, then use while loop. We clear up? The question number 5. I hope next one is a break versus continue. Because break versus continue very simple. Break is used to stop the loop execution simply. Continue is used to skip the particular iteration. I think I don't give much explanation about this. Break means what? Stop the loop execution simply. Continue means skip the particular iteration. Skipping the iteration, right? Skipping what? Iteration. One iteration it has to skip, guys. When we use the do while loop, if you want to execute the code at least once, body at least once without any condition check. If you want to execute the body first, you want to execute the body first without condition check, then use do while. If you want to execute the body at least once, guys, without condition check. Some people ask the question like while versus do while. While means first a condition checked, then enter into loop. Do while means if you want to execute the body first without condition, then check, then use a do while, right? You understood, right? In do while first a condition checking a body executing a condition checking or body executing means definitely what? Body executing first, right? Exactly. The seventh question, guys. Eighth question. How can you stop the loop execution? Very good. How to stop the loop execution? Tell me, guys. How can you stop the loop execution? To stop the loop execution, we have the two things. One is condition is failed, the loop is stopped. Right? Guys, once the condition is failed, is what? Loop is stopped. How to stop the loop execution means once the condition is failed, loop is stopped. Number one. Number two. When you use the break statement, right? Break also. Even I want to print like 200 times, but in the middle I use one break statement to stop the loop, right? Exactly. Because once the condition is failed, the loop is stopped. Number one. Number two is what? Without condition fail, just we can use a break statement, right? Yes, we can use what? Break statement. As last three questions are clear, right? Simple questions. Break versus continue. Break is used to stop the execution. Continue is used to skip the particular iteration. So continue is used to skip the particular iteration. When we use the do while, if you want to execute the body first, do while means body first, then condition check. How to stop the loop execution? Once the condition is failed, loop is stopped. Otherwise, when you use a break statement. Okay, good. Question number 9. What are the entry control loop and exit control loop? Entry control loop means what? While entering to the loop, it is checking the condition. Tell me, guys, what are the entry control loop? For loop is entry control, right? Because condition is checked, then enter into the while, enter into the body. While also entry controlled. Entry control means what? First check the condition, then enter into the loop. Entry controlled. Exit control is what? Do while. Yes or no? Exit control is what? Do while, right? Exactly. Yeah, that is exit control loop, right? Yes, exactly. Because exit control means what? The condition checked when the exit from the loop. Because body executed first, right? Body executed first or not? Exactly. Yeah, that's the ninth question. I hope you are writing the sixth and seventh and eighth and nine is complete, right? Break versus continue. When we use the do while, how to stop the loop execution? What are the entry control loop and exit control loops? Entry control loop means first condition check, then entry to the body. Exit control loop means first body executed, then do while, right? First body execute, then condition checked. When we will use the break statements, because when we will use the break state, where we will use, sorry, where we will use the break statement. Tell me, guys, what are the cases we'll use break statement? We'll use the break statement in only two places. What are two places? Tell me. Remember, right? Inside the loops, you can stop the loop using break, right? Inside the loops, you can use inside the for loop, for each loop, while loop, do while loop, you can use the break. Inside the loops, we can use the break, and we can use one more place. The break is used. What is one more place? Tell me. Yes, on one more place, break is used. What is one more place? The one more place is the break is used. Switch cases here. You know that to stop the case execution, case 1 statement break, case 2 statement break, case 3 statement break. You use the break statement only in two places. Inside the switch and inside the loops, right? Exactly. Guys, I hope you written the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Recently, one of the students is facing this question here. Yeah, these all are the questions asked by students only. Some of the interviews, one of the interviews are they are asking these questions. Definitely, you feel that all the questions are important, right? Yeah. Guys, give me some suggestions, write some comments so that I'll prepare the next video. I'll plan for the next video. What are the minimum occurrences in the for and while and do while? First, he didn't understand what the minimum occurrences is. The question is very simple, right? What are the minimum occurrences in the for and while and do while? The immediately student don't know. So first of all, what is the minimum occurrences? Because the meaning of minimum occurrences is for loop and while loop. First condition should execute, then only body execute, right? First condition should be checked, then only body executed. It means for loop and while loop, is there any minimum data executed? No, zero minimum occurrences. Okay, see, this is like minimum occurrences are zero because once the condition satisfied, then only executed, right? That's what for loop and while loop minimum occurrences are zero. What about do while loop? Do while loop, I think first body execute, right? That's what here minimum occurrence is how many times? One time or not? Body execute first. Body execute first means that is the minimum occurrence is one. Guys, minimum occurrence is what? One, right? That is the intention actually. For loop and while loop minimum occurrences are zero. For loop and while loop minimum occurrences are what? Zero. And do while loop minimum occurrences are one. I think based on this answer you can understand immediately, right? But you remember the points, okay? Minimum occurrences. Yeah, one of the interview question, one of the interview panel, they're asking this question. I think maybe in Wipro, I think. When we'll get the compilation error like unreachable statement? Oh my God. This frequently get this kind of errors here. Anyone knows this error? Please respond if you know that error. When you will get the compilation error like unreachable statement? Anyone knows that? Maybe while you are doing the practicals with while loop and loops, while loop, for loop, and do while loop, you'll get this kind of error frequently. When you will get the compilation error like unreachable statement. Got the point, right? Yeah. Because when you get unreachable statement means, for example, you written the while of true. Unfortunately, you written the loop is repeated infinite times. While of true, after that you written the statement here. See guys, this is while of true means what happened? Loop is keep on repeated, right? Assume like, see, while of true in the body you should use the breaks with some condition. But I didn't use any break here. Just I written the while of true SOP statement. Because while of true SOP statement means then what happened? Tell me here. Something like here, Ratan sir. I'm reading the code like this. While of true Ratan sir means then what happened here? The loop is keep on repeated, right? Then what about rest of the code? Assume like I have some remaining code, rest of the application. Guys, is the rest of the application execute not executed? Not executed, right? Because while of true means what happened here? Loop is keep on repeated, right? Then this code execute not executable, not execute. It means the control is unable to reach this area, right? The control is unable to reach this area. This is called what? Unreachable statement. When you make the while of true for loops, like no loop keep on repeating, but control is not able to reach the particular area. That area is called unreachable area. Remember, when you get that error, unreachable statement error, remember that okay, my control is not able to reach this area. I need to check why it is not reaching to this area. Line number we have to check. That analysis is very, 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 very important, right? Yes, that is a unreachable statement, guys. When control does not reach the some block of code in the program, okay, some code block of code in the program, then that is called unreachable statement. You understood while loop written, right? If you want, can you please keep the same while loop here also? Unreachable statement, right? Yes. Yes, if the control is unable to reach some block of code in the program, that is called what? Unreachable, right? Yes, while of true means what? Returns are executed infinite times. Rest of the application reachable, unreachable. This code executed infinite times, right? This is unreachable, unreachable, right? Rest of the code is unreachable. Yeah. Rest of the code is what? Unreachable. As one of the student is faced this question, can you take the if else without braces? Can you take if else without braces? Yes, possible. But without braces in real time, we never write the code, guys. That is not a standard. In the real time, you should have the opening and closing definitely. You understood the point, right? In real time, you should have the opening and what? Closing, right? That's very, very important. Yes, without braces, you can take the yes possible, but without, can you take the if else without braces? Yes, possible, but without braces, only one statement is allowed. Without braces, you can take only one statement. That should not be a initialization. Okay, that should not be a initialization, right? Yeah, I think these are the good enough questions for the flow control statements topic, guys. Total 13 questions. I think I hope you guys are writing all the questions properly, right? Yes, let me recap the all the questions once in just in a few minutes. Yeah, the first question. What are the flow control statements in Java? There are three types of You guys please respond. You can respond with the parallel with my voice. Okay. How many types of flow control statements in Java? Tell me, guys. There are three types of flow control statements in Java. One is the conditional statements. Based on the conditional statements, if else if, and what? Switch, right? Else if and what? Switch. Based on the particular condition, the selected block will be executed. Based on what particular condition the selected block will be executed. Second one is looping statements. To execute the same code repeatedly, for loop, for each loop, while loop, and what? Do while loop. Third one is the transfer statements. The control is transferred from one location to another location, right? Exactly. Yes, next one is what? When we will use what? If else if. When we have to check only one condition, we have to check only one condition, basically true, use the if. When we have to check the two options, basically true and false, if else. When we have to check the more than two options, more than two options means what? Like three, four, five. You don't say like multiple, yeah? More than two options we have to say. What the difference between the else if and switch? The difference between what? Else if and switch. Else if means what? Else if is both, else if and switch both can take the multiple options. If we need to execute the code based on the condition, we need to execute the code based on the condition. We have to use else if. We need to execute the code based on the argument. We have to use a switch. And yeah, else if statement more flexible to solve. If we need to execute the code based on the condition means else if. Based on the argument, we have to use a switch, right? Yeah. Else if statements are more flexible and can handle a complex condition, right? But switch is used to typically for the similar value based checker, because switch argument is what? Integer means case label should be integers. Switch argument is a string means case label should be the strings, right? Yeah. When you use a for loop and for each loop, for loop means it is possible to apply the conditions where we need to start, where we need to end, how much you want increment, right? For each conditions are not applied, print the data from starting to ending. Okay. When you use a for loop and while loop, for loop means we have the starting value, ending value, increment, decrement value. While loop means what? Only condition check. Only condition check. Number one. And number two is what? If you know the number of iterations, use the for loop. Like I know that I need to repeat four times, five times. Then I can go for the for loop. If you don't know number of iterations, if you don't know number of iterations, use what? While loop, right? Exactly. Even to stop the infinite loop, you can use a break. Okay. Sixth question, break versus continue. Break is used to stop the loop, continue is used to skip the further iteration. When we use the do while, if you want to execute the body once without condition check, how to stop the loop execution? Once the condition is failed, it is stopped. Otherwise, you can use the break statement. What are the entry control loop? For loop and while loop is entry control. Do while is exit control. Where we will use a break statement, we can use the break statement inside the two places. One is inside the loops, all loops. One is inside the switch. What are the minimum occurrences in the for loop and while loop and do while loop? For loop and while loop, the minimum occurrences are 0. Do while loop minimum occurrence is 1 because in the do while one time word executed by default, right? When you will get a compilation error like unreachable statement, the control is does not reach particular area, particular block of code, particular block of program, that is called unreachable statement, right? Yeah. You remember that? And the unreachable statement means okay, my control is not reaching that area, right? Yeah. So can you take the else if without braces? Yes, you can take the if else without braces, but that should not be a initialization. Without braces, only one statement is allowed, guys, not multiple statements. Only one statement is allowed. That should not be initialization part. If you got the clarity, right? All of you, please write all the questions regarding flow control statements. Can please write some comments, proper comments, how the flow, how the explanation is going. If everything is going good, you can give the can give the comment. Or if any modifications you need, to just give the comment so that I'm ready with a new video. Okay. Yeah. Thank you guys. Like the video, comment the video, subscribe to our channel to get the more videos.